a very special Avenue of Heroes hometown family ceremony. We are delighted to have you here joining us, especially excited because this is the first time we've been live in person in 2 years. So we've been enjoying American Exactly. And we were enjoying the gathering and the talking and the conversing. It's something we've really missed these past 2 years. So it's wonderful to have this occasion to get together. So my name is Tina Friend. I'm your new city manager. I've been on board about a couple of months, and I have to say I was so excited to be here for this event. I actually caught an early flight back to San Diego. I was out of town for a couple of days because I really wanted to be here. The military connection in this part of Coronado is something I respect and enjoy. I have military in my family, not Navy. I have Army and the Marines. And, all right! There you go. I was telling my dad. And it's just, I'm just so excited that we're here to have the community come together around honoring those heroes. So this ceremony is, I think, also particularly magical because it was born out of community idea, the community coming together and saying, we want to do this. And it's been happening for, I think, 6 years now, and still going strong. And I think that is a wonderful part of it, that we are coming together to recognize the men and women who have devoted their lives to service and have a connection here to Coronado. But before we go any further, there are some special guests I'd like to introduce. First, I believe we have County Supervisor Nora Vargas attending. We do have Coronado Mayor Richard Bailey here. We also have in the second row here, we have our council member, Mike Donovan. Council member Marvin Hines. Council member Bill Sankey. And then also from the city, the assistant city manager, Dominique Albrecht, I believe, is attending as well. So cheers to Dominique. And then from Naval Base Coronado, we're very delighted to have Commanding Officer Captain Dwight L. Clemens. Thank you for joining us. And then from the Coronado Historical Association, Caroline Murray, representing the CHA. Again, thank you so much for coming out, and thank you to our guests for coming out this Saturday morning. So a special note, too, I want to point out is in recognition of our honorees' contributions to Coronado's rich history, the Coronado Historical Association is graciously providing each honoree or their family or sponsor a one-year membership to the organization. So that's wonderful. Thank you. And so we're going to get going. So a final thanks for everyone that's here who's watching live on Facebook Live or later on Coronado TV. And I will note that something that did come out of the pandemic is the couple of years we had to do this event virtual, is that we learned these other mechanisms to reach people, and they're very well received. So we will be continuing these streaming and recorded options so others can join us other than just this morning. So now we're going to get started. So please rise if you are able for the parading of the colors and the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof
And thank you to the Coronado High School Navy Junior ROTC for the colors, and to Deanna Holla for her beautiful rendition of that. So the City of Coronado introduced the Avenue Heroes program in 2014, and so far we've honored 193 hometown heroes. And today's class is another 13. The city funds all costs of the program, and volunteers from the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 2422, the Coronado Historical Association, and the 3rd and 4th Streets Neighborhood Association, and the city staff oversees operation. So it really is a collective effort. I know a lot of work was into it, especially because these are done twice a year. So a lot of ongoing energy for many years. So I would like to recognize the community members and the community volunteers who made this possible. And if you could raise your hand when I call out your name. Lee Fulmer, right there. Jim Jameson. Mr. Chuck Lucas. Vince Marchetti. We have Darlene Parker, who couldn't be here today, but thank you, Darlene. And then we have Daniel Stewart. And I would also like to give a special recognition to some individuals in my office, in the city manager's office, hiding in the back, who put all this together: Janine Zuniga, Michelle Miller, and Kelly Ferguson. And just put together this thank you. Okay. So the inspiration for Coronado's Avenue of Heroes came one memorable day as 2 Navy SEALs were being moved to their final resting place. And once people became aware that the procession would come through Coronado, the local Rotary Club handed out American flags, schools were dismissed, and members of the community lined 4th Street to pay their respects. And I've seen images, and it's quite moving to see just the throngs of people, several deep, for this recognition. And as this procession approached the San Diego Coronado Bridge, there was a lone Navy SEAL standing at attention, saluting as he waited for the passage of his comrades. And that was the moment where the community knew that 3rd and 4th Streets constituted an Avenue of Heroes. So after that, the program was launched in May 2015 with 18 banners as the first class of honorees. And the ceremonies, as I mentioned, are now twice yearly. Heroes have been recognized from all branches of the military: Air Force, Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. And there have been many honorees, some very distinguished: Congressional Medal of Honor recipient James Doolittle, military aviation pioneer, and to Vice Admiral James B. Stockdale, Navy aviator and 7-year prisoner of war. And I think we all know that story, just remarkable. And there are many others who grew up or attended schools in Coronado or had some connection. And all of these individuals have earned a banner on the Avenue. We're going to hear many of the stories today. So after that moving procession where the Navy SEAL was laid to rest, there was one Coronado resident in particular who made this her work to bring this Avenue of Heroes banner program to life. And that was Toni McGowan. Many of you probably know her. And she was a big proponent of honoring the military members and really encouraged the city to take this up. So after speaking with the city, thank you to the City Council and the city for designated Route 282 or 3rd and 4th Street corridor from Orange Avenue to Naval Air Station, North Island, and we designated that the Avenue of Heroes. And McGowan's wish was granted by holding this banner program twice a year. So McGowan passed away in early 2019. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet her. But she was able to see the program fully instituted and coming to life twice annually, and I'm so proud that we're continuing it. So she was able to see dozens of banners installed along the corridor. So the banners are 6 feet tall. They're installed about Veterans Day in November and Memorial Day in May each year. And once we retire them, we take them down and provide them to the families so they actually keep those banners, we don't, which I think is a remarkable keepsake. They also received a miniature replica banner and a lapel pin commemorating the ceremony. And today, again, is our 13th class. So before we begin, I want to take a moment to also recognize the people behind the image and the stories, the people that nominate the heroes to go on the banners and who write the biographies and stories. Sometimes it's the same person, but they really bring their stories and their lives to life in their words and images. And as you'll hear in a few moments, I mean, just remarkable. So thank you to everyone here who took the time for the nominations and put that together. Okay, and then as you walked in, you were handed a program by our Coronado High School Quixote League. So if you're still here, I want to thank you so much for being here on your Saturday morning and helping out the event. Okay, now we're going to get straight to it. I would like to please welcome Chuck Lucas, VFW Post 2422 Commander, Chairman of the Hometown Banner Committee, and Senior Chief Fire Controlman, representing the VFW, and Daniel Stewart, a member of the Hometown Banner Committee and retired Navy Captain in SEAL, representing the Coronado Historical Association, and we'll begin our formal presentation. So thank you so much, and please welcome them to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Daniel Stewart and I will now read the biographies of today's honorees in alphabetical order. After we finish each biography, we ask that the honoree and president, sponsor, and family members come up in front of the stage here to receive their mini banners and pose for a photo. You may then return to your seats. Our first honoree is Captain Charles Raymond Anderson. Charles Raymond Anderson was a Coronado resident for 33 years. Born in Long Beach, California in 1924 to parents Marjorie and Gerald Anderson. He attended Woodrow Wilson High School, California Institute of Technology, and the U.S. Naval Academy. He graduated from Annapolis as part of the class of 1947, best from the several. Distinguished classmates were former President Jimmy Carter, former CIA Director Stansfield Turner, former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Admiral William Crowe, and local hero Vice Admiral James B. Stockton. Upon graduation, Anderson taught electrical engineering at the Naval Academy and served on USS Gearing, DD-710. He attended Naval Intelligence School and studied Chinese at the Defense Language Institute. Although he was a service warfare officer, Anderson, who rose to the rank of captain during his career, had 4 overseas postings, serving as Assistant Naval Attaché to Taipei and Singapore. He also commanded the Naval Advisory Group of Joint U.S. Military Assistance Group in Bangkok and the Navy section of the Military Assistance and Advisory Group in Choying, Taiwan. Captain Anderson had 3 commands at sea: USS Gerke, DD-783, USS Brinkley, Bass, DD-887, and the USS Kilauea, AD-26. His Navy service is honored by receipt of the World War II Victory Medal, the Navy Commendation Medal, the Bronze Star, Joint Service Commendation Medal, Navy Occupation China Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, and a National Service Defense Medal. Upon retirement in July 1976, Captain Anderson served as civilian advisor to the Iranian Navy. He returned to his hometown in Coronado in 1979 and purchased a 47-foot ketch, the Resolute. One of the joys of his life, sailing, tennis, gardening, and travel occupied the rest of his days. Captain Anderson loved his country, the Navy, and his family. His life reflected this. He is survived by his beloved wife, Helen, his 2 children, daughter Susan Reed Anderson, son Dr. Gary Anderson, MD Debbie Crane Anderson, and granddaughter Leslie Michelle Anderson, and grandson Sergeant Brian Christopher Anderson, Marine Corps. His was a life well spent, and his legacy was manifest. Thank you for your service.
The second biography is for Captain Marshall U. Beatty, United States Navy. Born in 1913 in Anaheim, California, Marshall Marsh Beatty attended Occidental College, graduating in 1935 with degrees in mathematics and physics. A 3-year letterman competing in football and basketball, he also served in the California National Guard during this time. Completing the Naval Aviation Cadet Program in Pensacola in in 1937, Beebe was commissioned an ensign in the Naval Reserves. In 1941, he received his regular Navy commission and rapidly began ascending the ranks. Beebe's early duty stations included Hawaii, the Philippines, and Long Beach, California. He was assigned to the Bureau of Aeronautics in Washington, D.C., before assuming command of Composite Squadron DC-39. Based aboard the escort carrier USS Liscombe Bay in the Pacific, the squadron supported the World War II invasion of Tarawa. Surviving the sinking of the Liscombe, Beebe subsequently commanded V-17, a fighter squadron assigned to USS Hornet. Participating in the first Navy raids on Tokyo in early 1945, Captain Beebe is credited with downing more than 10 Japanese planes, 5 in a single day. Beebe's next combat assignment was as commander, carried Air Group 3 aboard USS Essex, operating in the Korean waters. While in command, he met distinguished author James Michener, then a war correspondent, who wrote about Beebe's Air Group in his famous book, The Bridges at Tokuri. Michener dedicated the book to Beebe, who subsequently served as military advisor for the Oscar-winning movie. After the Korean War, Beebe commanded USS Pyro and USS Bonhoeffer Charlotte, and served in senior positions to include Assistant Director of Flight Test Division, Patuxent River, Naval Attaché for Air, Caracas, Venezuela, and head of Airborne Weapons Systems Branch of the Deputy Chief of Naval Operations. He retired in March 1963 with the rank of captain. Beebe's medals include the Navy Cross, the second highest award for valor, Legion of Merit with Combat V, Distinguished Flying Cross with 3 gold stars, Air Medal with 10 gold stars, Purple Heart, Presidential Unit Citation, and Navy Unit Commendation, as well as World War II Victory and Korean Service Medals. Captain Beebe lived in Coronado in the early 1950s. He died in 1991 and is survived by his daughter, Kimmy Duggan. Thank you for your service. Will Captain Beebe's family please come forward?
The next biography is for Captain Carl Cooley Burgess. Captain Carl Cooley Burgess was born November 11, 1880, in Lyon, Kansas. He lived in Atchison, Kansas. He registered for military service in 1899. Burgess was in the Soissons-Vaux and Chateau-Thierry campaigns of World War I when he was in the regular army. Burgess had 2 foreign decorations, was awarded the Croix de Guerre of France for distinguished acts of heroism in combat. He was also awarded the Belgian War Medal. He was ordered from Camp Leake to New Orleans for a short stay, then he headed to Washington, D.C. There he was decorated by 3 governments for valor in World War I. Burgess got his military inspiration as a member of Captain Green's Company F, 22nd, Kansas. During the Spanish-American War, he was at Camp Alger. After the war, he worked at the Atchison Saddlery Company. He enlisted in the Army. He headed to China during the Boxer Uprising. He and his fellow soldiers, however, were stopped at Nagasaki, Japan, and sent to Manila. He was in the Philippines for 3 years, where he received his lieutenant commission. Very little is known here in particular acts of heroism that resulted in the decorations he received, but it is known that the Germans were driven back from Paris during those campaigns in France. He carried 2 wounds, and his war relics have been on display in the Ramsey windows. On September 18, 1918, Lieutenant Burgess returned home from France. He became an instructor at Camp Tunstall, an Army training camp in Kansas. He retired a career Army officer in 1925. He was cited by Marshal Philippe Pétain of France twice for bravery, and received the Chevalier of the Crown from King Albert of Belgium. He also was cited by General John Pershing for his bravery with the infantry at the battles of Vaux and the Chateau-Thierry. In addition, Captain Burgess received 4 Silver Stars, 2 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts, Belgian Order of the Crown, and 5 World War I Victory Medals. Captain Burgess died in Coronado in 1958 and is buried at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery. He is survived by his grandchildren, Donald Warfield and Carol Baseman. Thank you for your service.
Our next two awardees are a married couple. We will read both biographies. And obviously unknown to the community. We will read both biographies, starting with Colonel Christian Ellinger, followed by his wife, Captain Jen Ellinger. After both bios have been read, we will invite the Ellinger family forward for a photo. Colonel Christian Ellinger, United States Marine Corps, is the Command Inspector General, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, Western Recruiting Region. He enlisted in the Marines in 1991, and while an infantryman in 2nd Marine Division, Lance Corporal Ellinger was accepted for the enlisted commissioning program. Following the basic school and field artillery officer basic course, 2nd Lieutenant Ellinger reported to 3rd Battalion, 10th Marines. In 1997, 1st Lieutenant Ellinger served as firepower control team leader in 1st Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company. Captain Ellinger reported to the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit in 1999 as Force Fires Coordinator, supporting humanitarian operations in East Timor and Operation Determined Response. In 2001, he took command of Battery Golf, 2nd Battalion, 11th Marines, and in 2002 served as the 5th Battalion, 11th Marines Operations Officer. In 2003, he deployed to Kuwait for Operation Enduring Freedom and supported 1st Marine Division's attack north into Iraq. He then transferred to Expeditionary Warfare Training Group. Major Ellinger graduated from the College of Naval Command, and Staff in 2006. He was assigned to the Joint War Fighting Center. As a Lieutenant Colonel, he deployed to Afghanistan with 1st Marine Expeditionary Force in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. In 2012, Lieutenant Colonel Ellinger rejoined the Cannon Cockers and took command of 2nd Battalion, 11th Marines. After his command tour, he deployed to Afghanistan as the Marine Expeditionary Brigade Afghanistan Fires and Effects Coordinator, and then as the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force Deputy Fires and Effects Coordinator. In 2015, he reported to Expeditionary Warfare Training Group as Director of Training. Colonel Ellinger has been awarded the Bronze Star Medal, Presidential Unit Citation, Combat Action Ribbon, and various personal, unit, and campaign awards for combat and meritorious service. Colonel Ellinger serves on the board of the Gary Sinise Foundation San Diego chapter, which provides critical support to our nation's defenders, veterans, first responders, and their families. He is in the Optimist Club of Coronado, a life member of Coronado's PFW, and Commandant of the Coronado Detachment of the Marine Corps League. He is married to Captain Jennifer Ellinger, U.S. Navy, of Palm Harbor, Florida. They live in Coronado with their 2 children. Thank you for your service.
Captain Jen Ellinger graduated from U.S. Naval Academy and reported to USS Shasta in Alameda, California, where she served from 1994 to 1997. She then moved to San Diego to serve aboard USS Benfold from 1997 to 1998. From 2002 to 2003, she served as Operations Officer aboard USS Decatur, deploying in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. She served as Executive Officer of USS Barry in Norfolk, Virginia from 2006 to 2008. She returned to San Diego, reported to the USS Kidd as Executive Officer in 2010, and fleeted up to Commanding Officer from 2011 to 2013. While in command, Kidd deployed and executed several theater security cooperation missions and served as the flagship for CTF 151 in support of counter-piracy operations off the Horn of Africa. Kidd's deployment was highlighted by the rescue of 13 Iranian fishermen and the capture of 15 Somali pirates. Under Ellinger's command, Kidd earned 3 consecutive battle E's and retention excellence awards. Captain Ellinger served as commanding officer of USS Lake Champlain and Air Defense Commander for the Carl Vinson Strike Group, deploying to the 7th and 4th Fleet AORs. During her tenure, USS Lake Champlain earned 2 consecutive Unit Retention Excellence Awards, the 2018 Unit Tactics Award, and the 2018 Vice Admiral Thomas Copeland, the 3rd Material Readiness Award. Captain Ellinger's assignments ashore include tours of Assault Craft Unit 5 on Camp Pendleton, California, Flag Secretary to the Commander, U.S. 2nd Fleet, and Chief Staff Officer for Command Littoral Combat Ship Squadron 1. For the past 2 years, Captain Ellinger has been leading sailors and Marines as Commodore, Amphibious Squadron 7. Captain Ellinger's personal decorations include the Legion of Merit, Meritorious Service Medal, and various campaign medals. She is the recipient of the Arleigh Burke Leadership Award, Nashell Leadership Award, Commander Naval Services Force Pacific 2004 Tactician of the Year Award, and the 2012 Freedom Alliance Service to America Award. She is a graduate of both the Naval War College and Joint Forces Staff College. As a longtime resident of Coronado, she and her active duty Marine husband Chris are raising their 2 children in the city. Thank you for your service.
The next biography is for Commander John C. Kelleher. John Kelleher served as a commander in the United States Navy. He was born on February 1st, 1921, and died on April 30th, 2011. He is interred at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery. Born near the harbor in New York City, whenever it was announced, "The fleet's in," Kelleher would hurry down to the water, knowing he wanted to be in the Navy. He enlisted in 1942 and trained in Florida, Newport, Rhode Island, and New York. In 1944, he attended the U.S. Naval Reserve Midshipmen's School at Columbia University, reported for duty in Virginia, and then deployed to the South Pacific. During World War II, he served on 2 ships, USS Manatee and USS George Clymer. Both were in action in the Philippines, including the invasion of Leyte. Coming under direct fire attack by the Japanese, Kelleher and his crew shot down a kamikaze. He also survived Typhoon Cobra that sank 3 destroyers, killed 790 sailors, and damaged 9 of the warships. Returning home in 1946, Kelleher married fellow New Yorker Patricia Byrne and made the Navy his career. Being a business major from Manhattan College, he was accepted to the Naval Supply Corps. After 4 years in New York's area, he was called back to sea for the Korean conflict. Returning from a year at sea, Kelleher transferred to the submarine base at New London, Connecticut, followed by 2 years in London, England, and 2 tours in Pennsylvania. He then transferred to California, where he made Coronado his permanent home for 50 years. He worked at Naval Air Station North Island on USS Klondike, the Naval Amphibious Base, and in Alameda, California. He had 1 long deployment during Vietnam, as well as shorter cruises during his last years with the Navy. He retired as a commander in 1970. Active in Coronado community, Kelleher was president of Kiwanis and coached both Little League and Pony League baseball, instilling a love of that great game in his children, grandchildren, and many others. A devout Catholic, Kelleher served as usher, reader, and lay Eucharist minister at both Sacred Heart Church and North Island Chapel. Commander Kelleher was a devoted and loving husband to his wife Pat for 65 years and a beloved father to his 5 children. Thank you for your service.
James F. Kelly. Born in 1930 in New Haven, Connecticut, James F. Jim Kelly led a storied naval career, combining years of sea duty, many of which were in command and combat, with studies at the nation's finest postgraduate institutes and key shore billets, including duty on the staffs of Commander-in-Chief, Pacific Fleet, and Chief of Naval Operations. He was and remains a master mariner, combat veteran, brilliant leader, and noted author. Following graduation from Southern Connecticut University and Officer Candidate School, Kelly was commissioned ensign in 1953 and served in Atlantic Fleet carriers and destroyers before reporting as executive officer aboard USS Westchester County. With the Vietnam conflict accelerating, Captain Kelly served afloat as Chief Staff Officer of Command Destroyer Squadron 19. Earning a master's degree in management at the Naval Postgraduate School, he returned to sea in 1966 as Executive Officer of USS Gridley, making 2 more combat deployments. Following Army War College, Captain Kelly commanded USS Parsons, conducting shore bombardment operations off Vietnam. Selected for Major Command, he reported to USS Fox, deploying to both Westpac and the Middle East Force as commander, Middle East Forces flagship. Served as Assistant Chief of Staff and Commander, Naval Surface Force U.S. Pacific Fleet, followed where he was instrumental in integrating women into the U.S. Pacific Fleet ships. Captain Kelly then took command of the USS Dixie and later the Naval Personnel Research and Development Center. Among Captain Kelly's highest military decorations are the Legion of Merit 2 awards and Bronze Star with Combat B. Retiring from active duty in 1983, Kelly earned a doctorate in education at the University of San Diego. He was a senior vice president at the Great American Bank and taught ship handling, seamanship, and navigation at Naval Base San Diego. Kelly served as foreman of the San Diego County Grand Jury, president of the San Diego Council of the Navy League, and president of the San Diego Lions Club. He contributes frequently to Naval Institution proceedings and other publications. His weekly column has appeared in the Coronado Eagle and Journal for 20 years. Kelly and his wife of 65 years, Charlene, are longtime Coronado residents with 3 children and 3 grandchildren. Thank you for your service.
This next biography is for Ensign Christopher Crone. Retired Navy Ensign Christopher Crone was commissioned in May 2000 out of the Naval Reserve Officers Training Corps unit at George Washington University. He wanted to follow in his father's footsteps by becoming a naval aviator, and was given the honor of being one of the few naval officers chosen to be an exchange student pilot with the United States Air Force. Athletic, spirited, and fun-loving, he was known as someone who could always make others laugh. His commanding officer remembers him as being one of the fastest runners in the squadron, and always up for a challenge. During Phase 1 of pilot training, parachute descents were practiced by parasailing behind a pickup truck. Ensign Crone was the first student at Vance Air Force Base in Oklahoma to ever parasail on a 500-foot rope instead of the usual 300-foot rope. He was the first to volunteer to spin in the chair used to demonstrate how easily pilots can become disoriented when they do not have visual references. Later, he successfully soloed in the T-37 aircraft and smiled throughout the traditional post-solo dunking. Crone was a Coronadian through and through, having attended Christ Church Elementary School, Coronado Middle, and Coronado High Schools, graduating CHS in 1995. He was part of the Boy Scout Troop 806, was cast as the lead in several dramatic productions, and loved dancing as well as hanging out with friends. Crone initially attended UC Santa Barbara, where he showed off his skiing skills as part of the ski team while pursuing a degree in political science. Once he decided on a naval career, however, he transferred to George Washington University and became an intern in the office of then U.S. Representative Brian Bilbray. This not only allowed him to join an NROTC unit, but also to get ready for an early start on what he hoped would be a political career. He was remembered by Bilbray as an honorable and ambitious young man who died pursuing his dream of serving his country. After Ensign Crone's death during his second solo flight on September 6, 2000, Bilbray had a proclamation dedicated to him read into the congressional record on September 14, 2000. Thank you for your service.
Please come forward.
This next biography is for First Lieutenant Lane H. Miller. The plaque at the entry to Coronado High School lists the students killed in World War II, including Lane Miller. Miller served on the student council, was a star athlete. The son of Lieutenant Commander H.A. Miller and Ruth Miller, he lived at 550 C Avenue. Both of his parents are buried at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery. Miller enlisted to serve in World War II, joining the U.S. Army Air Forces. He was assigned to 513 Bomber Squadron, 376 Bomber Group Heavy. Miller was so impressed with the resistance fighters and partisans in Slovakia, he asked to join their covert efforts with the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the CIA. It was top secret DAWS mission. In October 1944, Miller was to fly out a group of downed airmen. That potentially life-saving flight was postponed due to the worst winter storm in 50 years. This sealed their fate. To survive, 37 flyers, a team of male and female agents and resistance members, headed towards the safety of the Russian Red Army lines. Nazi troops were hot on their trail on a mission codenamed Edelweiss. The last message received by the OSS, all equipment lost, majority in bad condition because of exposure, frozen feet, exhaustion from long mountain marches, and starvation diet. The morning after Christmas, a 300-strong Nazi unit overran the hideout. Miller and other flyers, fully dressed in a complete uniform, were marched out and taken away. Most airmen were taken to POW camps. OSS operatives and Miller, who was slaughtered them in spite of his uniform, went to Austria's Mauthausen concentration camp. The group was tortured and executed on January 24, 1945. Miller is listed at the Florence American Cemetery in Italy among the walls of the missing after being denied POW status. The DAWS mission was declassified after the Cold War. Miller's time with the DAWS mission team is detailed in the book World War II OSS Tragedy in Slovakia by Daniel Downs. Coronado's Lane Miller was an unsung hero all along. During his military career, he received the Silver Star, Distinguished Flying Cross, Air Medal, Purple Heart, and Presidential Unit Citation. Thank you for your service.
This next biography is for Captain Robert B. Morgan. The officers and crew that welcomed Captain Morgan to his major command of USS Orion in La Maddalena, Italy, in the summer of 1984, did so with a fanfare worthy of the namesake pilot. The captain is coming. Captain Robert Morgan was born in Kansas City, Missouri in 1937 and graduated high school in 1955 with a congressional appointment to the U.S. Naval Academy. He graduated from the Academy in June 1959 as a member of First Company. After his initial tour on USS Nicholas in Pearl Harbor, he reported for nuclear submarine training in 1961. There he would escort the mother of his future bride to the Officers Club. He married Lucille Inez Beebe in 1962. Upon completion of nuclear power training at Idaho Falls, Morgan served on USS Thomas A. Edison in Scotland for 4 patrols in 1965. He was a new construction Blue Crew engineer and plank owner of USS Marion G. Vallejo. His next tour was executive officer of USS Scamp in San Diego. He made 2 deployments in the Western Pacific during the Vietnam War. Then Lieutenant Commander Morgan served as the representative for Pacific enlisted personnel. Morgan became commanding officer of USS George Washington. After a patrol, he combined crews for the ship's refueling at Mare Island Vallejo. He then returned to sea as commanding officer. Morgan next served as Assistant Chief of Staff for Commander Submarine Group 5 in San Diego. He rode his bike across Naval Air Station North Island to catch the ferry to Point Loma. His next tour was in the Pentagon with Director of Naval Warfare, where he was awarded the Legion of Merit. In 1984, Morgan assumed command of USS Orion. During his tour, the ship was awarded the Commander-in-Chief U.S. Atlantic Fleet Golden Anchor Award. He culminated his career as commanding officer at Point Mugu, California. Captain Morgan was awarded 3 Meritorious Service Medals, Navy Commendation Medal with 3 gold stars, Navy E Ribbon, Navy Expeditionary Medal, National Defense Medal, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Republic of Vietnam Service Medal, and the Sea Service Deployment Ribbon. He retired out of Point Mugu in 1989 and died in 2017. Thank you for your service.
This next biography is of Captain Robert D. Quinn. Captain Robert D. Quinn, sometimes known as Red due to his auburn hair, graduated from the Naval Academy in 1940 and earned his dolphin pin, becoming a full-fledged member of the Navy submarine service. During his naval career, he commanded 5 separate vessels, 2 submarines, and 3 service ships. While aboard USS Tunney in 1946, Lieutenant Commander Quinn was awarded the Silver Star for his ability to penetrate strong anti-submarine barriers to complete a special mission in the southeast section of the Japan Sea, despite severe enemy countermeasures. Subsequently, he was awarded the Bronze Star while commanding USS Perch during the Korean conflict. In September 1950, Perch transported a force of British commandos in a raid on a train tunnel which had been serving as a primary north-south supply line. He was the only submarine commander to be awarded a combat medal during the Korean conflict. Subsequently, Commander Quinn commanded USS Bordelon, a destroyer, the USS Regal, a supply ship, and most notably USS Newport News, a heavy cruiser. The Newport News is one of the last remaining teak decks that still required Holy Stone, the very last all-gun heavy cruiser in naval history. This served as his major command, and he was rightly proud of the ship and crew. One of his crew later wrote, "I recall the Newport News as a meticulously maintained vessel, with all brightwork highly polished, lifelines of pure white, covers in place on all gun muzzles, and decks that you could eat on." While on active duty, Captain Quinn attended Harvard University, where he obtained a master's degree in business from the famous B School, where he later served as Associate Director of Alumni Programs as his first job after retirement. It was during this time that his daughter Kay Quinn Crone joined the Navy and later retired as a Navy commander. His son-in-law, Ted Crone, also graduated from the Naval Academy and completed his Navy career as a naval aviator and commanding officer. Both of his grandsons, Chris and Carl Crone, served honorably as members of the Naval Service. Thank you for your service.
This next biography is for Chief Petty Officer Robert K. Wagner. An original member of SEAL Team 1, Bob Wagner was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan in 1933. He enlisted in the Navy in 1950 as a boatswain's mate. After attending boot camp, he was sent to USS Monterey in Norfolk, Virginia. The ship moved to Pensacola, Florida, where Wagner met his future wife, Helen. While in Pensacola, he was transferred temporarily to the Navy boxing team. At 6'3", 220 pounds, Wagner was the Alabama State Golden Gloves heavyweight boxing champion. In 1954, he was honorably discharged and moved to Barstow, California, where he worked at the Marine Corps Supply Depot. In 1959, he re-enlisted as a storekeeper and was sent to Okinawa for 18 months. Wagner then volunteered for underwater demolition team training in Coronado and graduated with a class of 28 in 1962. SEAL Team 1 was just being formed at the time, and Wagner was sent straight to the team, the only one to do so during the initial years. He attended many training schools, including jungle warfare in Panama, where he was selected as a top student. Wagner deployed to Vietnam 7 times from 1963 to 1968. In 1966, he was given an assignment to assist the CIA in improving its counterterrorism program. Wagner was largely responsible for establishing the program. He drew up plans for the training camp, supervised its construction, completed training plans, and set up the curriculum. This program led to the formation of the Provincial Reconnaissance Units, later described as one of the most effective programs ever devised in unconventional warfare. Upon his return to San Diego in 1967, he set up a special operations training program designed to train SEAL personnel in unconventional warfare techniques. On August 15, 1968, Wagner was killed in action in Vietnam while leading a provincial reconnaissance unit in a raid on a Viet Cong-held village. He was posthumously promoted to Chief Petty Officer, received the Legion of Merit, which is rarely awarded to a enlisted person, and the Bronze Star, both with combat leave for valor. He is buried at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery in San Diego. Thank you for your service.
Our final biography today is for Rear Admiral R. Guy Zeller. Rear Admiral Raymond Guy Zeller served proudly in the United States Navy from commissioning in January of 1960 until retirement in November 1988. Born in 1937 in Olney, Illinois, Zeller grew up in nearby Lawrenceville. He attended the University of Illinois, where he majored in industrial engineering. He was actively involved in his fraternity, Chi Psi, in the Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps. Graduating in 1960, Ensign Zeller proceeded to the USS Wilkinson before reporting to Naval Destroyer School in Newport, Rhode Island. After a tour as engineering officer aboard the USS Kenneth D. Bailey, Zeller earned a master's degree in operations analysis at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. In 1967, Zeller shipped out to Vietnam, where he was stationed in Saigon with Naval Research and Development. He traveled the country extensively after Vietnam, where he boarded aboard the USS John Thomason as executive officer. Zeller later reported to the Pentagon as military aide to then Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld. Developing a friendship with White House speechwriter James Brady, a fellow University of Illinois graduate, they learned they had grown up 20 miles from each other and dated the same girl. Though not at the same time. Zeller commanded at sea and ashore. The former included command destroyers USS Willis, USS First, and USS Brooke, as well as command destroyer Squadron 7 and command Cruiser Destroyer Group 3. While commanding Cruiser Destroyer Group 3 from his flagship USS Enterprise, Zeller led Battle Group Foxtrot in engaging the Iranian Navy during Operation Praying Mantis. With his wife of 58 years, Britt, and their two daughters, Leslie and Kristen, now retired Navy captain and medical doctor, the family was stationed at naval bases around the country. After retiring from the Navy, Zeller joined General Dynamics before becoming CEO of Coronado Associates, a joint U.S.-Swiss company specializing in photogrammetry and aerial photography. In Coronado, Zeller served on the Armed Services YMCA Board, Coronado Planning Commission, Coronado Main Street, and Sharp Coronado Foundation Board. He was a long-standing member of the Coronado Rotary Club, Coronado Moneymen, and the Crown Club. Zeller died in 2018 and is buried at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery. Thank you for your service. Now we would like to recognize those banner recipients who are here with us today. Please stand and let us know where you are. Mr. Kelly, please stand. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to all our awardees today. And thank you to your family and friends, the City of Coronado for its sponsorship, and all who helped to put this event together. As we approach Veterans Day, we are honored to tell the stories of these local heroes and to show our appreciation for all that they do for and have done for our country. I would like to call the City Manager, Tina Friend, back to the stage for closing remarks.
That was just wonderful, wasn't it? Wow, all those remarkable stories. Yes. I was so moved. I was so moved hearing the stories and recognizing that everyone is worthy of a book, of a film, amazing stories, and all dedicated to incredible service to our country and the connection of Coronado. So I'm just so moved. It's made my day. So we just want to say thank you. We are forever grateful for your service, and we look forward to continuing this tradition of honoring our heroes on a biannual basis or semi-annual basis. So I want to remind you that we do accept nominations year-round. So we know there's a lot of Coronadans, a lot of military connections. So we want to hear from you. We want to keep this tradition ongoing. So we have brochures on the way out that you can pick up. And otherwise, thank you again so much for coming. Thank you to our dignitaries for joining this morning. Thank you to all the staff and associations that put this together. We invite you to enjoy refreshments in the lobby on your way out. Enjoy being together live. We haven't been able to do that in some time. And then also feel free to take pictures in front of the step and repeat out in the lobby. And so with that, please another round of applause for our honorees.